What's going on, everyone? Welcome back to the show. So today we're going to answer some questions about Social Security. You guys asked me these questions in the comments, and so we'll address a few of those today. But first off, you guys can do me a favor. Please like the video, and if you're watching this video and you want to see more content like this, please consider subscribing to the channel. And I want to make an announcement when it comes to Twitter. I'm starting to post more on Blue Sky. So go over there, follow me on Blue Sky. Twitter, they do not really promote. If I post a link for a YouTube video, they're not promoting that. And so I'm going to give Blue Sky a try and see if they promote it a little bit more. So I'm just letting you guys know, go over to Blue Sky. In the comments section, it'll be pinned at the very top. There'll be a link. Just click on that link and it'll take you over to my Blue Sky account. Okay, the first question here is, I think paying Social Security, your working life, is a pension. And I would agree with you. It is a pension. However, we need to understand when it comes to Social Security, the reason for Social Security is mainly to supplement your retirement. It is not your sole retirement. In a lot of situations, if you earn a pension, that pension pretty much will, it can be your retirement. In my situation, we basically, if you work 30 years, I didn't work the 30 years, but if you work 30 years, you can get up to 90% of how much money you were making. Okay, so you get back 90% in your pension. And in many instances, that's more than your take-home pay when you're currently working, because when you're currently working, you're paying into the pension. So a lot of your money is going to that pension. When you retire, you're no longer paying into the pension, and so you're getting even, your check will be even more. And so they say, I think I remember them saying, if you get about 70% of your pension, then that is equivalent to what you're currently making if you're working. And so once you get to that 70% threshold, then you could be pretty comfortable when you retire, knowing that you're going to get about the same amount that you would have gotten if you kept working. Now, the cost of living adjustments, you do get those, but you get them at a higher rate when you're working, and then also raises. You're not going to get raises anymore once you retire. So those are some things to think about when it comes to a pension. But all in all, pensions were designed as your retirement, and you can supplement that. You can invest. You can have a 401k, or generally not a 401k, depending on where you work. If you're working for the government, they're not going to offer you a 401k. It'll be more like a 457 plan or something like that, where they don't match what you put in. So 401ks, a lot of companies will match what you put in. You put in $1,000, your company will match that $1,000. When it comes to 457s, they don't do that. Whatever you put in is what obviously you put money in, they invest it, and then you'll get that return, but you're not going to get anything additional from the company. But we were always told with the 457 plan, look, this is going to supplement about 10% of your retirement if you work the 30 years. And if you're not working the 30 years, if you're working 20 years, 21 years, like I worked 21 years, then you're going to want to put a little bit more in your 457 plan. That way you'll have that offset. But when it comes to Social Security is there to supplement about 40% of your retirement, no more. And so you do need to have a retirement plan set up. And you can use Social Security as well, but if you're going 100% on Social Security, you're going to struggle. It's going to be very, very hard for you, depending on your situation. Now, if you are in a situation where you bought a house, you paid that house off, and you didn't have any bills when you retired, and you're receiving only Social Security, it might work, and it depends on where you're living in the U.S. as well, because some places in the U.S. are very, very expensive. But if you don't have a mortgage, and you don't have any bills other than your electric and all that stuff, then you might be okay with just Social Security. But most people, we're going to have bills, and in the future, you're going to want to buy another car and things like that. And so you are not just going to be in that situation where everything is paid for. You're going to be in a situation where you're going to have these bills that are going to reoccur. And then also we have to look at the economy and how that's doing. If we're looking at inflation at high rates, then that's going to impact you as well. Even though they say, oh, we'll give you this cost of living adjustment for Social Security every year, if there's inflation, it will offset that. Usually, the cost of living adjustment does not keep up with inflation. And we're seeing that right now. cost of living adjustment for 2025 is going to be 2.5%. We're already looking at the consumer price index, so that's what gauges inflation. That's already at 2.6%. And because of these tariff talks, we're probably going to see the price of items rise and in 2025. And so if the consumer price index is higher than that 2.5% COLA increase, then your purchasing power is not as strong. And so that's what we need to be watching. That's why every month I let you guys know what the CPI score is, just so you can kind of understand what's going on. Now, they do have to go back a month. And the latest information that we just received was in October, but guess what? November and December is going to be worse. You have people are going to be out buying. Black Friday, we're going to see people buying things for Christmas and for the holidays, Thanksgiving, all of that. And so because of all of that, guess what? The consumer price index for November is going to be higher than 2.6%. And then the consumer price index for December is probably going to be higher than 2.6% again. And that's because people are going to be out buying. Now in January, we'll see what happens. We'll see what happens when the new administration comes in. If they really push tariffs, then we're probably going to see that continue to rise. And so I just wanted to answer that question. You could consider Social Security a pension, but when it comes down to it, it will not supplement, or it wasn't designed to supplement your retirement at 100%, whereas some pensions, that's all people have. They get a pension and that's it. Because, and one more thing before we go with this, when it comes to a pension, and in my situation, I wasn't paying into Social Security. I was only paying into the pension. So I was paying into the pension, and then I was investing in a 457 plan. That's it. I was not paying into Social Security. Right now, currently, I do not qualify for Social Security because I've only worked 5 years. Now, I'm continuing to work, and now I'm paying into Social Security, and so once I get over the 10 years, then I'll qualify for Social Security. But the way that my retirement was planned, it was set up, is that I was only going to pay into a pension. And so I was never going to receive Social Security benefits unless I went outside and started working another job. Okay, let me get to this last question here, and this is from Dan. It says, why cut Social Security? We work for that money. So I think everyone feels the same way when it comes to Social Security. We've all contributed, well, not all of us, but people who are not contributing to just a pension, they're contributing to Social Security. They're paying that payroll contribution. Companies also match that payroll contributions. And so if you're working, you're contributing 6.2%, and then your company is matching that 6.2% to give 12.4% to the Social Security Administration. And so they can pay out benefits to the people who are currently receiving Social Security. Now, because people have been paying into this for years, 20, 30, sometimes 40 years, then yes, they want money back. And they're entitled to that money. And you'll hear some politicians talk about this like it's free money, or talk about it and they say entitlement programs. But they say that to mean like you shouldn't be getting this money. Like we're giving it to you. You know, even though entitlement means that you are entitled to it, which is true, you are entitled to the money. But they don't say it in a way that is. But they don't say it in a way that you deserve it. They say it more in a way that it's, you know, this is a burden on all of us. And so when it comes down to it, I think the vast majority of the American people think that, yes, we should be able to receive Social Security benefits when we retire at 100%. So basically not see any cuts to Social Security. However, we have politicians that they don't want to raise taxes. And that's the only way out of the situation that we're currently in. Because right now we have 2 trust funds, they're slowly depleting. In about 10 years, they will be completely depleted. At that point, we're looking at about a 23% cut to Social Security benefits. And so whoever's receiving Social Security benefits across the board, they are going to see a 23% cut or more. And so that's why something needs to be done. But the only real thing that you can do is bring in more revenue. You can't cut your way out of this situation. You're going to have some politicians that are going to say, oh, well, we can just cut here and cut there. You're not going to be able to cut your way out of this situation. You have to bring in more revenue. And the only real way to bring in more revenue is to raise the payroll contribution across the board for everyone receiving benefits, or that you hear the tax the rich. So raise the cap on people making over $400,000, make them contribute. Now, the reality is we have a new administration coming in. I don't see them taxing the rich. The only thing that I can see if they are even entertaining reforming Social Security is raising the payroll tax across the board for everyone. That's the only thing that I can see. Now, this is not popular for politicians to talk about, and if they were to implement something like this, this could be the end of their career, but it has to be done. And we only have about 9 or 10 years before it needs to be done. And so we have a new administration coming in. That new administration will be done in 2028. But guess what? That next administration that comes in, so if President Trump doesn't do anything about reforming Social Security, that next administration that comes in, they're going to be up against it. And President Trump has talked about waiving taxes for people who are receiving Social Security benefits. That would be good for some, not everyone, because not everyone pays taxes on their Social Security benefits. But let's just say he's able to get that implemented. If he's able to get that implemented, that will expedite the depletion of the trust funds I'm hearing, by about 2 years. And so what does that mean? That 10 years that I was talking about, it now could be 8 years. And then we have the Social Security Fairness Act. That is going through Congress right now. And if it gets passed by the Senate, which I think it's a good bill, and I hope that they do pass it, that will expedite the trust funds being depleted by 6 months. So we could be looking at a situation where we have 2 years if we have tax-free Social Security, that's going to be 2 years expedited. And then Social Security Fairness Act, that's another 6 months expedited. And so we can move into, now we're looking at about 7 years before the trust funds are depleted. So that next administration, I'm not talking about President Trump's administration, I'm talking about that next administration that comes in, they're going to have to deal with Social Security. They're going to have to do something, or we're going to see automatic cuts to Social Security benefits. So hopefully all that makes sense. If you guys have more questions, let me know in the comments below, and maybe I will address that in a future video. That's all I have. Subscribe for more, like the video. Talk to you in the next one. Bye.